Hello. The inspiration came on me for this topic, for this podcast, while witnessing couple of guys encounter each other few times. Like this is kind of like third time that I witnessed the encounter. You know how it is. Summertime, your windows are open, and all noises, voices, actions are coming into your apartment from outside. And those two guys, they live nearby, and they sometimes they encounter each other, and speak and conversate sports. They talk sports. They talk. Now it's Olympic Games. Before that, European Championship, football, tennis. They like to talk tennis. They really like to talk tennis before, because one of them is a senior citizen in his older age, and the other one like a middle-aged guy. Both of them are apparently uh, very interested and like sports, watching sports. So, and me too. I like sports. I like listening to some sports shows, listening to discussions about sports events. Uh, it's all good for me. It's all good for me. I don't mind it. So what is curious about it? Yeah, you might ask. So what's up? I mean, two guys are talking sports. That's not unusual. In these days, sports is like part of our society, of our culture, of our entertainment, and a big part of our entertainment for some of us. There are some of us that, who don't care about sports much, but a lot of guys, more males for sure, yeah, are into the sports. So just a couple of guys talking about sports, that's no big deal. But what resonated with me and with my early days, that the the one guy who is the older guy, the last encounter that I was witnessing, the younger guy was like kind of describing something, just telling him about, I don't know, about some player who got traded from one club to another, and he was really frustrated, this guy, with this trade, that why would they trade him when they need a cornerback with some speed and agility and so far and so forth, really detailing this situation and analyzing it from his point of view, while the other guy, the older guy, was all into the hood of his car, like checking oil or something, or what would you check? Checking oil. like being busy around his car while listening to the other guy. And at some point, he was looking into the hood. At some point, he turned his head up and looked at this guy and said, "Man, you don't know. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't get it. You don't understand. It's not it's not your field. Don't be speaking about it." So he just, you know, he just cut the conversation off, like kind of from his authority figure, like from up to down, downwards, kind of, like looking down at this guy. That, come on, man, you don't know what you're talking about. Just shut up. He didn't say shut up, but that's how it uh, seemed to me. And what can you say? What can you uh, what can you reply to this kind of comment? I mean, what can you do? The only thing that I heard, what was his comeback? His comeback was like, what? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like kind of with surprised and maybe even with some anger, some frustration, maybe frustration. And this took me back to my early years when I was 17. When I was 17, isn't it how it is? Yeah, when I was 17, the brides were younger. So it was like in my 17s, in my teens, I just realized while when I mentioned lights, for me it was black and white. Everything was black and white, for sure. And I think for most of the teenagers, it's black and white, the good or bad. I mean, like extremities, polarities. Uh, you know, hard to balance it. Even now, I'm having a hard time keep the balance, even to balance the audio of the Zoom recording. Uh, but that's not here or there. It's more about my memories. Um, when I went to US as an exchange student with the group of guys from Tbilisi, Georgia. It was like 93, 94. Uh, those golden 90s, yeah, were not golden for former Soviet Union states, especially one of them is Georgia. And in those dark days, we still were living, still adapting. Sure, for sure. I was watching some sports when there was electricity that was very rare in those days. But before that, in Soviet days, you know what I'm saying? All my childhood and first years of teenagerhood until 91 when everything collapsed and all went down. But we got free, that's for sure. I mean, the freedom came, but the economics collapsed, yeah, and the hard times started. Nobody cared about sports anymore. It was all politics or just trying to survive. Uh, and even in those dark times, it was the first wave of martial arts, which were banned in Soviet Unions, which were illegal in Soviet Unions, and you might have gotten the sentence if you were uh, studying or learning, how you say it, martial arts, training in martial arts. It was undercover. So when it all blew up, and thanks God, in one way that we got freed, because not going back to those days for sure. So the new clubs of martial arts, Kyokushinkai, karate, was very, hyped in those days. I don't know how, when, but it came in like Shotokan and Kyokushin, contact and no contact karate. And my friend went into this club and he dragged me into it. And for 4 years I was there. I was training, getting my knuckles, banged, my feet, everything like it is, like it has to be in Kyokushin karate. So while considering myself a martial artist, in parallel, I also was watching Formula One when there was some translate, how you call it? It was translated into the TV. Watched some NBA games. They just started putting into the Russian TV those NBA games, and the famous coach of Soviet Union, Gomelsky, who won the Olympic Games. I guess he was a coach when they beat US guys with those college players back then. And the long story short, when we gathered to go to USA, for this exchange program, we used to have like kind of a couple of lessons, couple of introduction to US and to this institute and to all this new stuff. And we gathered in the university building. So to get to know each other. So I was 17, there was the other guy 16 years old, a couple of guys 19 years old, and then there was a jump in age. There were a couple of guys 25 years old or so. So the older guys. And those two older guys were really into the sports, still are, and they really knew sports. And now that I'm thinking back to those days, no, those guys were really educated in sports, in any sports. There are some guys who have like specialty, one sports or the other one, but those guys knew like every Olympic sports venture, when it happened, how it happened. So they would argue with each other outside this classroom when we were on break. And when there was conversation regarding Formula One, when it would go to the Formula One conversation, it was, for me, my blood flow coming up. I knew the sports. I knew I was watching it, as a fan. So I would drop couple of words regarding it because the other I could not get into the conversation. And then we moved to when we went to US, and the whole this NBA basketball culture just you know just overflow us, and we started watching, those guys are starting watching NBA, and uh, I got into it deep, man. It took me to the deep waters, so much deep that I was even trying to get into the NBA. But that's another story, like the never happened basketball's diary. And I was like, I went crazy, started reading those digests, starting studying, starting watching. But before that, uh, uh, I always would receive that kind of bullying when they say, "Man, don't talk about basketball yet. Not even yet. Just don't talk about basketball. You have no idea, man, no clue. It's not your field. No, shut up." So you're getting refused, from the authority figures, and it's frustrating. But you know, uh, little by little, there was a big, like large, scaled newspaper. I guess it is also now still there, USA Today. So we would buy this USA Today every day USA Today, and just the sports section, nothing else, throw away. And I would roll the sports section, put it into my back pocket, and 17, 18 years old guy, always with this paper, some statistics. We were not gambling. No, we were just pure fans, just having fun. Even attended one preseason game, and I remember it very well. San Antonio, New York Knicks preseason. Nobody was playing. No, neither Admiral, neither Patrick Ewing. But before that, John Starks was injured, and on in warm-ups he was there. And I asked this older guy, who is the guy with the ankle wrap. He said it was those guys, those older guys, man. Give them a deuce. They knew sports. Who knew John Starks, man? Nobody. Even in America, they didn't know John Starks. But there was the other guy. He got traded. Doc Rivers also was warming up, and this guy, my friend, the older guy, told me, "Don't mind that John Starks. Look at this guy, Doc Rivers. He's gonna hurt someone this season, man. This guy's." And how he knew it? Doc Rivers before that played in Atlanta Hawks, and Hawks, they came to USSR for the tournée. They played with clubs, some CSKA or Spartak or somebody. And Doc Rivers was there. Dominic Wilkins was there for sure, yeah? Spud Webb would be there. I don't remember those games, but those guys remember those games, and they watched them, and they memorized the guys who were playing in Atlanta Hawks uniform. So that's how he knew Doc Rivers. And I want to reflect on this frustration you get when you cannot get into the conversation with the other guys. You don't have a right to make a mistake, to say some stupid stuff, but that's how you evolve in your craft. Yeah, how can you be smart from the beginning? I mean, while making mistakes, while making some stupid remarks, that's how you educate yourself. That's how you go forward. Yeah. And then, so a few other groups came, Georgians, to Nashville. It was funny that was exchange program, but one-way exchange. Nobody went from USA to Tbilisi. That I know for sure. That's for sure. So receiving other guys, we would befriend them, and some guys would stay in our apartment. And I remember it was 95, 96 season, watching NBA playoffs. Phoenix Suns was playing. I don't know who, Houston maybe, or San Antonio Spurs. And in those days, this guy would come into the game he wasn't starting. He was from the bench player. So we're watching one of the games, and I'm already up into the task. I'm seasoned. I'm already seasoned fan. Not only fan, but little by little, I started playing basketball. Before that, they would not even take me to play basketball because I couldn't even dribble the ball. I could shoot, but no dribbling, and I was very self-conscious about it, and having troubles, and being like frustrated because of it, of not playing well. So I started playing ball by myself. But basketball is not an individual game. It's a team game. That's another story. But nevertheless, I became more acknowledged about the game while watching, while taping, while rewatching, while reading, while going through statistics and so forth. So I'm there, I'm already there. Even getting into the conversation, into the quarrels with the other guys regarding some sports figures. But those guys, other guys were just, one of them was novice, just getting into the field of NBA, into the topic of NBA. So while watching this guy from the bench who was like killing it, in that game, and the other guy was this novice guy was um, rooting for the other team, I guess, for the Spurs. Some of our guys were really big fans of Admiral Robinson. So he got on the nerves, and he was trashing this guy. Man, who the fuck is this guy? Huh? What is he doing, man? He thinks he's Jordan. Where did he came from? And that was the biggest mistake. So the older guy, the seasoned guy, he just looked at him and said, "Man, just shut up, bro. You have no idea. Don't talk about basketball anymore. Your license to talk about basketball has been revoked right now, right here and now. Do you know who is this guy?" And the guy was Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge, the iconic figure in NBA. Yeah, legendary guy from those legendary Boston Celtics days. And he was at the end of his career in Phoenix, and as a sixth man, uh, he wasn't playing as a starter. The starter was Kevin Johnson, KJ, and Dan Marley. Or Dan Marley was a shooting guard. Yeah, the big guard. So, bro, man, this guy got all confused uh, and retreated. And I don't think he ever spoke about basketball anymore. So what I'm saying, instead of like luring the other guys into the topic, like making it easier for them to make mistakes and speak about this topic, because we need more people. We need more people to share with. Like I'm having struggles now because I cannot talk NFL with no one here, or arm wrestling with no one here. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a flying f about those sports. So I can feel the frustration of not being able to conversate, not being able to share the topic. And I don't care who speaks to me about those topics. Even a novice, I would be so happy for the other guy. Even I don't consider myself a wise guy in those topics, but you know, just let other guys, the novices or amateurs or whatever professionals, make mistakes. Uh, let's keep that bullying out of the conversation. It sounds like I'm preaching right now, but I'm preaching from my side, from my experience of being bullied and being witnessing others being bullied in the conversation of sports. And it is a very fragile, not a fragile, but very mm, kind of closed circuit, the sports fans and how they interact with each other. So that's what I wanted to, just to share with you guys. And thank you for listening. Whoever got to the end of it. Yeah, you have a good day.